Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rich Woman Rising podcast. I am your host, Eloise Tompkins, and I'm a money mindset coach and psychologist. And I am obsessed with helping you make more money in your business through removing those fears, those self doubts, those subconscious blocks that are holding you back. Because I tell you what, those blocks just get in our way. I don't know about you, but those blocks really held me back for such a long time. And when I discovered how to reprogram your subconscious through all of my training as a psychologist, I really had to bring that into the money mindset space because I saw so many women struggling with this, wanting to create a really successful business, but just getting blocked. And today I want to have a chat with you about making financial decisions in your business. Now, I really hate saying the word decision because I think I overthink it. And then every time I go to say the word decision, you can hear me slow down and I can hear it in myself. And I'm like, oh, it's so frustrating. So hopefully, I'll get over that at some point in this episode. Otherwise, it's going to be a mouthful. But I want to have a chat today about financial decisions because it's one of those things where, as a business owner, we need to make decisions every day and we need to make money decisions every day. And if we don't have a good handle on trusting ourselves, it can be really, really difficult to make those decisions quickly and to make those decisions in a way that feels good and aligns with us and our business. And I was reminded of this recently where I had to make a really difficult decision in my personal life that would have a trickle effect into my business life. Because a fun fact for you all, our personal life and our business are not separate. And I love how many entrepreneurs that I talk to that are like, yeah, when I started my business, I thought that I could leave all of my personal baggage at the door. And then they start their business and they're like, oh, actually, that comes with me too. So, just a reminder that personal stuff definitely filters into your business. Although, hopefully, you have seen that and you have decided to do something about that because if we don't, anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole. But this is why I think the work is so important because I think sometimes we expect to become a business owner and then things should just be easy because we're now in the driver's seat. We often went into business because we wanted to make an impact. We were done with a corporate 9 to 5. We wanted to do things our way. We wanted more earning potential. We wanted more freedom. We wanted more flexibility. There are a lot of perks that come with running your own business. However, what we are also not taught, particularly as women, is how to be assertive, how to have difficult conversations with people, how to set boundaries, how to make a really difficult decision that might hurt somebody's feelings, but we actually need to do. Or we might just need to make a difficult decision that isn't something that we would like to do, but yet we have to. Because we are conditioned as women to be people pleasers, we're conditioned to put our needs last on the hierarchy, put everyone above ourselves. And that is not, again, that is not our fault. I say this in a lot of my episodes because it's not. Like, society has really painted women with this brush that we should act and behave and even think in particular ways. And the fact that you have created a business, the fact that you want to make money in that business, the fact that you want your business to create 7 figures and beyond, like, you are already breaking out of those societal scripts. However, it can be really hard to break those subconscious programs that we have inside of us. And one of those is decision making. And this came to light for me recently, where, like I was saying before, I had to make this decision in my personal life. And it was a financial decision, and I was umming and ahhing about it. I wasn't sure what to do. And I ended up making a decision that wasn't 100% perfect, but it was close enough to okay. It was the best out of a few different scenarios that I was problem solving with. And I remember sharing with one of my friends who does work in corporate, who doesn't run their own business. And my friend's reaction was, "Oh my God, I could never do that. Oh, wow. Why would you do such a thing? Like, that's crazy." You could have made such a better decision. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's one way of looking at it, but actually the decision that I made really works for me. And my friend was so caught up in her perspective of, whoa, I could never make a decision like that. That's just crazy. And it was really difficult for her to kind of even see my perspective in that moment because she was seeing my decision from her lens. And I think this happens quite a lot where people will give advice on your business. People will give suggestions based on how they see the world, based on how they see themselves, based on how they're perceiving things, based on their anxiety, fears, stresses, life experiences. Same with us. That's how we see the world as well. We see our world through our own unique perspective too. The problem then becomes when we hear that person's perspective and go, oh, you think that's a bad idea? Oh, shit. Did I do the right thing? And then the self-doubt kicks in. And it's like, crap. Well, I've just made this decision. Now they're telling me that I'm crazy for doing that and I shouldn't have done it. And they would never have done anything like that. Was I right? Or did I make the wrong decision? And that used to be me. And I know this is a lot of my clients as well, where we self-doubt ourselves. We second guess the decision that we've made, which then leaves us spending a lot of time replaying the decision in our head, wondering, well, now I've made this decision, what's going to go wrong? Which means that as other things in our business come up, or even in our life come up, we're not making clear decisions because we've still got that old decision that we're still thinking about going over and over and over in our brain. It becomes really frustrating. And when we then give away that power to other people, when we share our problems with someone else, or maybe we're not even sharing our problems, maybe we're just kind of talking about things, and somebody else comes back and says, oh, that's crazy, that's ridiculous, why would you have done that? I would never have done that. It can leave us kind of going, oh, what did I do wrong? And that's where I think self-trust really comes into it. Because if you want to build your business to a point where it's generating 7 figures, where you are managing a team, where you are needing to make difficult decisions, then you're going to need to trust yourself. Even when other people are like, I think you were wrong. I wouldn't have done that. I think that was a stupid thing to have done. Why did you do that? Now, I'm not saying that it's okay for other people to throw their negative comments at you. And it's unfair. You know, I think a lot of times on social media, there are people that troll and make nasty comments and they're keyboard warriors and they sit behind their computers. That's not okay. I just want to kind of disclaimer that. Like, it's not okay for people to do that. That being said, though, I do think we need to develop a thicker skin, particularly as women. And I think it's really difficult because as women, we've been conditioned not to have that thick skin because we've been told to put everybody else ahead of us and we don't even know how to trust ourselves. And it's something important that we need to develop and we can develop. Like, I'm a walking example of that because my friend was telling me all of this. She's like, oh my God. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I can recognize that that's her perspective, that's her lens, that's her thoughts and her feelings that she's projecting onto me in that moment. And because I trust my decision-making process and I know that that was the best decision that I could have made, even though it wasn't perfect, even though I would have preferred a different scenario to have played out, it was the best decision for me and my business and my personal life that I could have made. And I stand by that. And I don't need to justify my decision to anybody because I trust myself. And that is really, really powerful. So How do we develop self-trust? I can just hear you thinking that now, well, okay, great. Well, yeah, maybe that's me. How do I develop this self-trust? Sometimes we try and jump into self-trust or we try and jump into the deep end. I see this quite a lot where my clients will have like a light bulb moment and they'll be like, oh my God, yes, I hear what you're saying, Ellie. Like I see it. It's so clear to me now. I'm going to change that behavior immediately and I'm never going to do it again. I'm like, whoa, okay, let's just like slow down a little here, maybe just a little. And what I encourage my clients to do is to really find that first step. So if we're looking at something like self-trust and trusting the decisions that you make, my first thing, like, and that I would kind of ask you is like, how do you feel making small decisions throughout your day? And what I mean by that is, how do you feel when you have to go to a restaurant and they put a plate down in front of you and the vegetables are cold? Do you eat the vegetables or do you send the plate back? Or do you kind of sit there and go, oh, should I send the plate back or should I wait? Or should I just not say anything? Maybe I'll talk to my friend and see what my friend says. Oh, my friend says that I should send the plate back. Okay, well, I'll talk to the waiter then because it's being validated by my friend. We don't want you to validate things with your friends. Sure, talk to your friends about things, but if we're relying on our friends to validate things for us in our personal life or in our business, we're not trusting ourselves. So if in those smaller moments, it's hard to trust your decision, then how in times of higher stress are you going to be able to trust and back the decisions that you've made? So my advice is to start small. And maybe you feel comfortable sending a plate back to the restaurant. Like, awesome, that's great if you do. So find somewhere that does feel a little bit stretchy for you. What's on the edge of discomfort? What's something where you can go, oh, yeah, that feels a little stretchy for me and pushes me outside of my comfort zone? And maybe that's where you can start. Because the more that we build up that muscle in smaller moments, and like I remember when I was working as a psychologist, I would start with some of my clients where they would go to a cafe and like the cafe would overcharge them and they would say nothing. They would just be like, okay, take my $10 because they felt so uncomfortable to have that conversation. So I'm like, start there or start even smaller. Like some of my clients, as a psychologist, we would even do things like asking somebody or just even saying, excuse me, to somebody who might be somewhat in the way, like in the supermarket aisle. You can find that stretch as to whatever it is for you. And it might be like you might already be thinking, oh, okay, it feels stretchy. Like the restaurant plate is fine. But if I had to have a conversation with a team member, that might start to feel a little bit stretchy. So that might be somewhere for you to start. Because every time we push and stretch ourselves further and further, little by little, not jumping into the deep end of the pool when we've got no floaties on and we don't know how to swim. Like that's just like, that's stupid. You wouldn't do that. Like you would not throw yourself into the deep end of the pool if you didn't know how to swim. Well, if you are doing that, then what are you doing? Like, don't do that. I don't want you to do that because that's just going to activate your emotional response, your fear response. And that's like when people say, feel the fear and do it anyway. No, but yes, it's kind of one of those things, right? Like we don't want to feel the fear and jump into that pool without being able to swim. We want to feel a little bit of a stretch of fear or anxiety. Not enough to drown us, but just enough to take us on the edge of stretchiness. And the more that we can do that, the more that we are going to be able to build up our self-trust muscle in the decisions that we make. Over time, those smaller experiences are going to build up. And the more of those little experiences that you have over time, we'll get to being able to sit across from your friend at a restaurant and be like, you know what? I hear what you're saying, and I'm okay to have a conversation about it, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to take it on, because that's your stuff, not mine. And that's where it gets to be really, really potent and powerful in your business, because you know that the decisions and the business that you're creating are yours. And sometimes we have to make really, really difficult decisions in our business that are going to hurt people, not because we want to hurt them, but just because they're going to, because sometimes that's the nature of life. We have to make a decision that's really difficult, one that we don't want to have to make, yet we do. Like, we don't have, I don't want to say we don't have a choice, because we always kind of have a choice, but sometimes the choices that we have, we're making a choice out of 3 choices, and none of those choices are ideal, but we have to make them anyway. And being able to have that trust in ourselves to make that decision is going to get you a lot further than avoiding the conversations with people, or avoiding making the decision, or constantly asking other people what it is that you think you should be doing. Because nobody is going to know you or your business better than you. So it's really important to own that and to really lean into the unique power that you have, because that's going to be the thing that enables you to grow and enables you to create your dream life. So I hope that this has helped you tease apart some ideas on how to lean into that self-trust muscle a bit further, because it's definitely something that is a process, and it's hard. It's not something that happens overnight, and it can change. I love working with women on that self-trust piece, and I love working with that sense of being able to guide them to create their own decisions. And it's funny when clients will come to me and they're like, what do I do? I'm like, that's a really good question. How do you think you can figure that out? Because I don't have the answers. And if a coach is out there telling you what you should do, I have concerns about that. I mean, obviously, it's going to depend on the type of coach and the relationship that you have. But example, I remember working with my marketing coach. Hi, by the way, if you're listening. And I remember when I first started working with her, I was super frustrated, because I was like, just tell me what the fuck to do. Just tell me what to do. Like, put it down on a piece of paper and just tell me. And she was like, yeah, but Ellie, you need to build your business your way, and the way that works for you. And that's going to look different for everyone. But I had been used to working with coaches who had their formula and their way of doing things. And having my mindset kind of need to shift into thinking for myself in a way was really powerful, actually. And interesting to kind of reflect on the fact that even me as a psychologist, like, I know these things and I know a lot about the brain. Like, I can get caught in those ways of thinking and those subconscious patterns as well. Like, I'm not immune to that. We all have them. And being in that position to get to make my own decisions was the best thing that could have happened to me, because now I have a business that I fucking love. Whereas when I was following other people's business models, like, oh, it just was not working for me. And I thought there was something wrong with me, but there wasn't. It was just because I was following someone else's formula that didn't work. I didn't like it, didn't like the recipe. And so when I was able to create my own recipe using the same kinds of ingredients, but doing it my way, like, gosh, the cake tasted so much better. My gosh, I use so many analogies sometimes. Like, I really hope that the analogies land. Sometimes they land, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, Ellie, are you just talking shit? Sometimes I don't know. But either way, I really hope this episode has inspired you to lean into that self-trust muscle. And I would love to hear if this episode has helped in any way, shape, or form. So if it has, either leave a review below or head over to Instagram and send me a DM and let me know what it is that you are leaning into in the self-trust space. I would love to hear from you. I love getting messages in my DMs. Just give me a bit of context that you listen to the podcast episode. ADHD brain over here. But I would really love to hear from you. So I'm going to end this episode now, and I will see you again next week. All right. Bye.